I was going through the materials you sent over, and there was this one line from the main source, this play script,
Hmm.
that just, it stopped me cold. I had to put my tablet
Oh,
down.
I think I know the one you're talking about.
Character just looks at another and says, when Icy shows up, Kant doesn't answer the door.
It's brutal, isn't it? It just strips away the entire academic safety net in one sentence.
Exactly. And that's the tension I really want to explore today. We spend so much time building our worldviews. We read the books, listen to the shows. We figure out our political identities. You got Kant on one shoulder, maybe a little Nietzsche Marx on the other.
Hmm.
But what happens when reality actually, kicks the door in? Does the theory hold up, or does it all just dissolve?
Well, that's the core question of this whole deep dive. We're looking at that collision between high-minded philosophy and the messy, painful reality of political action. And to do that, we've got two really distinct sources that, at first glance, don't seem like they go together, but they absolutely do.
Right. So the first is a play script. It's called The Weight of Where One Stands, and it's dated February 2, 2026. So depending on when you're listening to this, it's either happening right now or in the very, very near future.
And it's set in an Iranian diaspora household in Los Angeles.
And then paired with that, you sent over a series of blog posts, late 2025, from a writer named Fareed Novin. The blog is called Sound of Philosophy.
Yeah, and Novin is basically waging a one-man war against what he calls pseudo-philosophy and just, superficial understanding.
So our mission today is to kind of mash these two things together. We're going to look at the family in this play, not just as characters, but as these walking philosophical arguments that are failing a stress test.
And then we can use the blog to sort of diagnose why they're failing. It really is a look at the danger of incomplete knowledge, whether that's in theology or, protest politics.
Okay, so let's get into it. Let's enter what the script calls the living room battlefield. The setting of this play is just, it's wild. It's a living room in LA, fine. But the script notes say the walls are intermittently dissolving.
It's a surrealist touch, right? It's meant to reflect the mental state of the diaspora. You're physically in Los Angeles, but mentally, that wall dissolves and suddenly you're looking at a street in Tehran.
Or a detention center in Minnesota.
Exactly. Or a detention center. You're never fully there.
And there's a clock on the wall that's ticking backwards.
Right. Which just underscores the narrator's introduction.
Yeah.
He calls this family a family that fled history, but insists on reenacting it every evening after dinner.
Oof. That line feels like an indictment. Like, you can leave the physical place, but you can't stop fighting the war inside your own head.
Yeah.
So let's talk about these combatants. The author explicitly tags each one with a philosophical label. Who stood out to you first?
I was immediately drawn to the father, Dr. Ha Haishu. He's a retired neurosurgeon, and the script labels him a Kantian rationalist.
Which just sounds so heartbreakingly rigid for the kind of situation they're in. He's the guy saying, no, there are rules. There is order.
Exactly. A Kantian outlook is all about the categorical imperative, these universal moral laws. You do the right thing because it is universally right, regardless of the immediate consequences.
It's a very clean, structured way to see the world.
It is, but in a chaotic political crisis, that kind of rigidity can start to look a lot like paralysis.
And you contrast that with the son-in-law, Caveh. The script calls him Sartrean Foucauldian, which honestly sounds like the kind of person who just ruins Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh, absolutely. He's the ultimate skeptic. Foucault is all about power dynamics, who controls the narrative, who is watching whom.
Right.
And then Sartre brings in that existential burden of freedom. So Caveh is just stuck in this loop of analyzing power structures. Someone says, let's go march. And Caveh is the one asking, well, who benefits from us marching? Are we just reinforcing the state's power by even engaging with it?
He's so smart he can't move. But then you have Pichman. He was, for me, the most compelling character. He's an undocumented immigrant staying with the family.
And his description is Nietzschean fire mixed with Habermasian ethics. That is a volatile cocktail.
It's explosive.
It is. Nietzsche is the will to power, the idea that we create our own values and reshape the world through sheer force. But then Habermas is all about the public sphere, rational communication as the foundation of democracy.
So Pichman is the one who believes in the power of the street. He thinks if you just get enough bodies out in a public space, you force the world to change.
Yes. He's the man of action. The existing laws are broken, so he has to create new ones through presence.
And then there's Fanineh, the daughter. The script is pretty savage with her description. It calls her a slogan-driven revolutionary.
It is harsh, but it's important. It says she's morally earnest but shallow. She collects causes. She knows all the right hashtags, all the right chants,
She feels the injustice.
deeply. But the implication is that she hasn't done the deeper structural thinking she's operating on the surface.
And finally, you've got Mizume, the painter. She's just agnostic, fatalistic.
She's kind of the anchor. While all the men are arguing theory and Fatana is shouting slogans, Mizume is just painting. She's focused on the now.
Okay, so Act 1 kicks off with a scene called The Choice of the Square. And it is an immediate brawl between all these philosophies. Fatana is screaming that they need to be at the protest. Her argument is basically presence equals agency. If you're not there, you don't count.
And Dr. Hakahatju, the Kantian, he just refuses. He argues that a demonstration is merely theater if it lacks institutional consequence. He actually says, force doesn't reshape the world. The observer reshapes it.
I really struggled with that line. It sounds so, well, privileged. It's easy to say force doesn't reshape the world when you're a retired neurosurgeon in a safe living room in LA.
And that's the critique the play is making. He's retreating into his own mind. He thinks if he can just maintain his own moral rationality, the world will somehow align with it.
He believes in the idea of justice more than the practice of it.
Exactly. And this is where Peachman snaps.
Yeah.
This is where he drops that line.
When Icy shows up, Kant doesn't answer the door.
It's the collision point. Theory versus reality. Peachman is saying your universal laws are completely useless against a physical agent of the state who is holding a pair of handcuffs. Theory cannot arrest an officer.
The dialogues get so fast here. Peacham is yelling that the observer creates the world. That's pure Nietzsche, so they have to get out there and make the reality they want.
And Mizuma, the painter, just cuts through all of it. She just says, pulses, stop.
The ultimate reality check.
Everyone's arguing about how to live, and she just reminds them they're biological entities that can be turned off.
So Act 1 ends with Peachman walking out. He can't take the debate anymore. He says, the street is the last remaining court, and he leaves for a protest in Minnesota.
And you have to note the narrator's comment as the curtain falls. He says, no one has asked what happens after the march.
That gave me chills. It's this foreshadowing that action without a plan is just as dangerous as theory without action.
Which brings us right to Act 2, the price of the square.
And the vibe shift here is so intense. The script says, the gravity in the room feels uneven, and Mizuma's painting has changed. It's not just abstract anymore. Now she's painting empty shoes.
Which is such a heavy symbol. In so many cultures, but especially in revolutionary contexts, empty shoes represent the missing. The people who marched out and didn't march back.
And then the news breaks.
Yeah.
It's not some big speech. It's just a text message that Kaveh reads out loud. Peachman's been detained. He's been transferred to a facility in Texas.
And Mizuma's reaction is fascinating. She doesn't scream. She doesn't cry. She just says, Texas is very far from the present.
It's like he's fallen off the map of their reality. But then, almost like a side note, the script delivers another blow. It just says, Delara is gone.
And we don't even know who Delara is.
Exactly. Is it a relative back in Iran? A friend? The script offers zero explanation. The line is just absence.
I think that ambiguity is so intentional. If the author told us, Delara was a cousin who died of a heart attack, we could process that. We could categorize it. But by just saying, Delara is gone, we're forced to feel the void, it's just loss. Pure, unexplained loss.
And this is where Fatana, the revolutionary, just completely falls apart. She did everything right, according to her slogans. She showed up, she was present, and the world still got worse.
This is her moment of disillusionment. She starts lashing out at all the different groups she feels betrayed her. She says they're all selling someone else's blood.
And the list she rattles off is just scathing. She blames the monarchists for selling nostalgia, the mujahideen for selling martyrdom, and the Republicans for selling purity.
It's this horrible realization that her earnestness was used as currency by cynical actors. She was just playing a role in a play she didn't write.
But the doctor, the Kantian, his collapse, to me, hit even harder. He just admits he might have been wrong. He says, the observer does not create the world. He merely learns how little control he has over its collapse.
That is the death of his philosophy. He realizes that being right and being rational offers absolutely no protection against chaos. The world isn't some rational place waiting for an observer. It's a meat grinder.
And the narrator wraps it up by saying the family is left suspended in this dim light, carrying the weight of where they stood when standing mattered.
That title, The Weight of Where One Stands. It implies that taking a position isn't just an intellectual exercise. It has physical mass. It has real consequences.
Okay, So we watch this family completely disintegrate because their philosophical framework, the Kantian, the revolutionary, the existentialist, they just couldn't handle the pressure of reality.
Right.
And this is where I want to bring in the blog Sound of Philosophy by Fareed Novin, because I think Novin provides the diagnosis for why they failed.
I agree completely. Novin's writing from late 2025 is largely a critique of what he calls pseudo-philosophy. He's looking at how we consume deep ideas in the modern world.
And he's really aggressive about it, too. He talks about incomplete knowledge becoming dangerous. He throws shade at therapeutic narratives and yoga and meditation cliches.
He's attacking the commodification of wisdom. This tendency to take a complex thinker like Wittgenstein or a deep theological concept, strip away all the rigorous context, and just turn it into an Instagram caption to make yourself feel better.
He uses a specific example that I think just unlocks the entire play. He talks about the Quranic allegory of the Huri.
Right, which is the concept often translated in the West as the virgins or maidens of paradise. It's a real lightning rod for both fundamentalists and, critics of the religion.
And Novin's argument is that everyone is reading it wrong because they're reading it literally.
Exactly. He brings up the concept of mythal, which is a parable or an allegory. He argues that these aren't literal women waiting in a literal garden. They are symbols of a transcendent ideal. He says if you read it literally, you are engaging in pseudo-philosophy. You're missing the actual spiritual architecture because you're obsessed with the surface-level image.
Okay, so here's the connection that just clicked for me. Fitana, the daughter in the play, she is doing the exact same thing with politics that the fundamentalists are doing with scripture.
Yes, that's the aha moment right there. Fatana is a literalist of revolution. She thinks the slogan is the reality. She thinks marching equals change, in the same way a fundamentalist thinks prayer equals reward. She lacks the mythal. She lacks the understanding of the deeper, complex strategy and structure that has to exist beneath the slogan.
She's wearing the costume of a revolutionary, just like those yoga cliches Novin talks about are the costumes of spirituality.
Precisely. And Dr. Hakiatu is doing it too. He's treating Kant like a scripture. If I follow the rules perfectly, I am safe. That's a literalist interpretation of ethics. It ignores the messy reality.
So both the blog and the play are really warning us about the same thing, the profound danger of superficiality.
Right. Whether you are reading a holy text or navigating a political crisis, incomplete knowledge is a trap. If you don't understand the complexity, if you just grab the hot take or the easy slogan, you are going to get crushed when reality hits.
And that makes the empty shoes at the end of the play even more tragic. They represent the real human cost of that superficiality. Pigeman had all the fire, but maybe he didn't have the map.
And that's what Novin means by rigorous reading. You have to do the work. You have to understand the terrain. You can't just rely on the, pop Buddhist imagery or the pop political slogans.
The narrator's final categorization of the family just drives this home. He lists how people react after a collapse like this. He says, some will march again, some will retreat into art, some will call this wisdom, others will call it betrayal.
Some will retreat into art. That's Mizuma, the painter. She disengages from the fight to document the loss.
Some will call this wisdom. That has to be the doctor, right? Rationalizing his failure as some kind of learning experience.
And others will call it betrayal. That's Fatana. She's bitter because she feels like the world broke its promise to her. But the play suggests the promise never existed in the first place. She just misunderstood the contract.
It's such a devastating critique of modern engagement. We feel like we're doing so much. We're posting, we're arguing, we're sharing articles. But are we actually standing on solid ground? Or are we just play acting?
That's the question Novin would ask. Have you done the deep reading? Do you understand the history, the nuance, the opposing view? Or are you just repeating a mantra that makes you feel like you're part of a tribe?
Because when the walls dissolve, when the living room of our comfortable lives gets invaded by real history, the mantras don't work.
No. When the crisis comes, you don't get points for intent. You only get consequences.
So, here's the thought I want to leave you with today. We all like to think we'd be the hero in the story. We'd be the one who knows what to do. But if you strip away your Twitter bio and your political labels and your favorite quotes, what are you actually standing on?
Is it a foundation of deep, rigorous understanding? Or is it just a stage set that's going to blow over in the first strong wind?
Are we changing the world, or are we just reenacting history in our own living rooms? It's uncomfortable to think about, but I think we have to.
Absolutely.
That's it for this deep dive. Go do the reading. We'll see you next time.